solar system. Well, we know that space has these source field differences. There's a source field energy in space that you don't see here on Earth. It's called the overview effect or space euphoria. Astronauts go out there, they get this massive energetic high from being in space. It's been reported by many of them. The Chinese have taken seeds and flown them into space, and it's important that you do this in a space capsule that doesn't have PVC plastic windows and doesn't have aluminum in the chassis. If you do that, which is what the NASA probes are like, it doesn't work. It won't work. If you have any PVC plastic at any point over the windows, they're not going to do this. And if you have aluminum in the body of the thing, it's not going to work. The Chinese built one that didn't do it that way. And what happens is, they send these seeds out into space, and remember what I said about the Great Pyramid, or the pyramids built by the Russians? They tossed the seeds in, and what happened to the seeds? 400% more productive seeds, 400% bigger plants. Would you like to see the kind of crops that the Chinese were growing when they just flew the seeds into space? Let's go for it. Bang! There's your pumpkin. That's the only thing they've done is grow it hydroponically, and regular hydroponic pumpkins don't do this. This is a space pumpkin. That's the only thing they did is fly it in space. It's the mystery of the great pumpkin from space. Every Halloween, he comes in a UFO. Now this, isn't that amazing? That is actually called a bitter gow. It is not a whale penis. Contrary to your belief. It is actually a melon. Now, you know those little hot peppers, right? The little hot, oh, Jesus. Or maybe you really like it. Maybe you're a sadist and, oh, this is fucking right, man. I shouldn't have sworn, I'm sorry. Edit that part of the video. Oh, this is wonderful. Okay. Let's look at some hot peppers. Let's look at some hot peppers. That's a lot bigger than they're supposed to be. That's amazing stuff. So is this the source of all life? Is all life found in an energy wave? Well, check this out. This is Dr. James Strick, Sparks of Life. Major scientific conspiracy of the 19th century. Many of these guys were arguing in favor of Darwin random mutation, and others argued for spontaneous generation, life from non-living things. They didn't know whether it was one or the other. They found numerous experimental examples of spontaneous generation. Pasteur had cases where life originated from non-living things, so it's not as easily dismissed as we would like to believe. Louis Pasteur is why you have pasteurized milk. All these guys created a conspiracy where they buried data where you have sterilized test tubes where nothing could grow in there and critters grew in there anyway. And they threw it all away because they wanted to believe Darwin was right. Because survival of the fittest is an Illuminati philosophy that says if I'm the best killer, then I'm the most evolved on the planet. And that's how they felt about themselves. So they enforced it into the scientific structure of the world. History's been completely rewritten in favor of that model. So now this is a big mouthful, and here's the guy's name, which is also a big mouthful, Professor Pacheco. You can find this on orgone.org. It's very simple. What he did is he takes beach sand, puts it inside a test tube, and then, or before that, he takes beach sand and he heats it up to white-hot luminescence. It's literally white-hot. Then he takes that sterilized beach sand and he throws it into a sterilized test tube with sterilized distilled water in a vacuum, so there's no way anything could have gotten in there. 5 days later, this scum has grown on top of the test tube. He scrapes it off and looks at it under a microscope. Would you like to see some of the little things that he saw in there? Let's go for it. This is the first one. It looks like a little brain. Here's something that looks like it might be part of perhaps a sea vegetable, like one of the leaves broke off when he put it under the microscope. Let's look up close on that little guy and tell me if you think this is biological. Where did his DNA come from? All that was sand. There was nothing else in there. He sterilized the sand, sterilized the water, sterilized the air, and yet this little critter grew in there. And that's just one part of a bigger plant. There's other pictures where you see the plant. Here's another one that looks like a red blood cell. Here's one that looks like a white blood cell or a leukocyte. But here comes, drum roll please, the bomb diggity. This little guy probably has 20 to 30,000 genes, which is about the same as you. It's similar to little roundworms and stuff. This guy has a very complex DNA structure because he has a defense system, he has a head, he has a mouth, he probably excretes out here somewhere, which is too much information. But there he is. Where did his DNA come from? His DNA is in space. It's everywhere. The DNA wave says, oh, this is the silica basis of sand. I need to build little sea creatures in this stuff. Just like when it's inside the nuclear reactor, it says, oh, this is radioactive. I need to build radioactive bacteria in here. Life is being created everywhere it goes. But it even goes beyond that. Now, this really blew me away. Check this out. National Geographic, February 15th, 2009, found identical species at the North and South poles, but only at the poles. That's the only place you find them. They tried to explain it as maybe they're ships that go from the South Pole to the North Pole. They analyzed every single ship in the world. None of them do this at all. So, they found 235 different species that are identical at both poles. They were startled. They didn't know what the heck was going on. This includes whales, worms, and crustaceans. Very weird crustaceans, as you're about to see. Exactly where these species came from and how they ended up a world apart with comparatively warm oceans in between remains a mystery. So they don't know what the heck these guys are, how they got there, they don't have any idea. Would you like to see some of these creatures that emerged directly from the consciousness field? Let's go for it. They're very strange looking things. This is called Limacia helicina. It's this very strange, it looks kind of like a snail, but it's got these fans on it like a squid. It's a very weird looking thing. This is called Silone limacina limacina, another very strange looking little creature. This one is Gaetanus bravispinus. This is a crustacean of some kind. And lastly, you have Mimonectes sphericus, and he's got a really nasty looking defense system up front, doesn't he? He's a little badass. But he's out there doing his thing, and guess what created him? The consciousness of the earth spontaneously generates these little guys at both poles. There is no conduit of seawater going from North to South Pole. He would have burned up on the way through the core. Think about it. The reason why he's there is because the field generates him, because he is supposed to be there because the earth makes him. The earth has made us. So the solar system is creating evolution. DNA evolves by outside energy. I'm going to have to skip ahead through all this stuff, so just give me a second here. That's a good place to go because we were running out of time. So we've already seen now that you have DNA that has been created out of the ether. Same species at both poles. You've seen the little guys that grow in the test tube from nothing more than distilled water and sterilized sand, and there's this little scum that grows on top, and you look at it under a microscope, and boom, here's these little critters. What about DNA changing from one form to another? What about transforming DNA from one form to another so that you have the given genetic material of one species and it transforms into something else? Well, Conchazin is the guy here, and there's a lot of different ways to pronounce his name. Most recently, I've seen it spelled Chang. C-H-I-A-N-G is his first name. So there's many different spellings of this guy's name, which makes it extremely difficult to find his work online, unfortunately. So what he does in this anatomically correct diagram is he's got your duck over here. You can see the feathers and the head. Oh, there he is. And over here you have a perfectly described chicken. Obviously, I'm being facetious. And what you have here is these little funnels that are built into the side of a little pentagonal box, and he zaps this little duck with microwaves, and all the microwaves go through these copper pipes from one room to another. If you talk in here, you'll hear it in here. It's air that can pass through. He's zapping it with microwaves, which are not going to kill the duck. It just kind of zaps his energy field enough to make it resonate, make the DNA resonate. And over here you have a chicken that has eggs in its womb. So now I want you to look at the physiology of a duck. Notice the long beak, the webbed feet, the longer neck, the larger internal cavity of organs, whereas a chicken, by comparison, this is not what they looked like when they came out, by the way. That's just to fool you. I actually found this when I was looking for the picture of the chicken with the webbed feet, and then I found him with ducks, or her with ducks, and I'm like, wow, isn't that a synchronicity? So anyway, look, shorter beak, no webbing between the toes. This is what actually hatched. These are called duck hens. You see webbing between the toes. You see this strange-looking head. We can get a better look at it here. The eye's position is different. You get the duck-shaped head, the longer beak, the webbing between the toes. Now here's the stats. He zapped a total of 500 eggs, 480 of them hatched. 80% had a flat duck-shaped head like you just saw. 90% had the shift in the position of the eyes. 90%. and 25% had webbing appear between the toes. This is a Chinese scientist who did this. It's an amazing piece of research. You go from this, and you blend it with this, and you get duck